Hey guys, so I'm out here on the lawn. Just took a few minutes to, kind of peruse things, fix some mulch here that the creatures that come out at night, they mess up stuff as they're hunting for insects and whatever it is that they do. Come out here every now and then and just smooth out the mulch and, pull out a weed or two, whatever I see. And while I was out here, I was just taking down some notes for future videos and, topics of discussion. And I thought, you know what? Let me just set the camera up and I'll just talk a little bit, make a quick little video, just kind of explaining some of these thoughts that I'm writing down and give you guys a little bit of a preview of what's coming up. Now, for those of you that have watched this channel before, my name is Jay, and I'm basically just recording what it is that I do to my lawn, and I'm sharing it with you guys in hopes that it helps you guys out. All right, so let's start with the big picture. It's all about mowing, watering, and fertilizing. And I'm going to say that they go in that order in terms of importance. Now, they're all important, but in terms of what I'm going to prioritize, I am going to prioritize mowing more than the other two, just by a smidge. And this is really the case when you're talking about warm season grasses, especially when you're talking about Bermuda. It doesn't take much to get Bermuda going. And one reason that I set up like this is because I wanted to show you this. Look at the grass, right? I haven't fertilized it yet. This is what it's done on its own. It doesn't take much to get Bermuda going. And yeah, you see some yellow spots. I've got 2 dogs. Yellow pea spots, they come with a package, right? There's still some spots where you see some dirt where the grass hasn't filled in yet. Part of that is because of something I did last season. I did it a little too late. I shouldn't have done it as late as I did. But the grass hasn't filled in the way it normally would. We're having an unusually cool spring, and I think that's across the country. Not totally out of the ordinary, but to be as consistently cool as we've been this spring so far, that's not normal. And so the grass isn't as far along as it would have been had it been a normal spring. But still, look at what the grass has done on its own, right? But anyway, going back to the big picture, we were talking about mowing, watering, and fertilizing. Again, it doesn't take much water. It doesn't take much fertilizer. It doesn't take any fertilizer so far. But I'm going to give the edge to mowing as far as the most important one for me. I encourage you to think about mowing at least twice a week. That way, you're not taking off so much every time you mow. It keeps your lawn green that way. If you wait too long between mows, when you eventually get to mowing, you're going to take off so much of the green stuff that you're going to see the yellow stuff underneath it, which is the stocky part of the grass. Mowing to me is important because of the appearance of the lawn, which again is the whole point of what we're talking about here, right? Is making the lawn look nice. So again, big picture is going to be mowing, watering, and fertilizing. There are some extra steps you can take to take your lawn to the next level. And I'm talking about things like adding micronutrients to your fertilizing program. In general, when we say fertilizing, we're talking about the big 3 macronutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Lawn could benefit from micronutrient supplements as well. We're talking things like iron, manganese, boron, those kinds of things. And if you did a soil test, then you know what your soil is lacking. And so you can add those things into your soil profile. That'll then make the grass respond a little bit differently. Another extra you could do is fungicides. In my part of Texas, for example, morning dew is a constant problem. Morning dew is responsible for a lot of fungus. In my case, I usually get dollar spot on my lawn. So treating for dollar spot before it's a problem is kind of important. If not, I end up getting these yellow spots throughout my lawn, and that doesn't look very good. Another extra step you could take to level up your lawn game is adjusting the pH of your soil. Something else you learn from a soil test. In the soil test video that I did, I talked about how some soils are too acidic, some soils are too alkaline. And when your soil is one of those two, your soil is holding on, or it's locking up nutrients and not making them available to the plant. And so when you adjust your pH to that 6.5 on the pH scale, the soil releases a lot of the nutrients that a plant needs to be greener and grow thicker and healthier and all that good stuff. Another extra step you could take to improve the appearance of your lawn is to level your lawn. And that's basically where you bring in quality material like a good topsoil or sand to fill in low spots in your lawn. If you're like me, you had a builder who left you with a lawn that had holes and divots and low spots and all that kind of mess. By bringing in material and leveling your lawn, it makes your mowing a lot smoother. You're no longer having to worry about your wheels dipping into a hole and then scalping and yellowing a certain part of your lawn. And if you're considering getting into real mowing, you're definitely going to need to level your lawn. It's not a one and done type of project, but it does get easier with subsequent levelings. And we'll get into all that when it's time to do that. That's normally done when the grass is growing at its peak growth rate. In my case, it's a warm season, so unfortunately for me, it ends up being during the hottest part of the year. One often overlooked step that you could take to improve the overall appearance of your lawn is nice flower beds and nice tree borders. More importantly, the edges of those flower beds or those tree borders, if they're really nice and sharp, they make your lawn look sharp. Most people are so caught up with the grass that they forget about the other things that are on the lawn. So let's not forget about flower beds and tree borders and having them mulched and having them edged nicely. Now, something else that I have written on here as a possible topic of discussion in a future video is the tools that we need, right? Now, obviously, we're talking lawn care, so you know we need to think about lawnmowers. What I will say is this: get the tools that will make your life easier. For example, if you have 2 acres of grass to mow, a 21-inch deck, it's going to take you a while. Now, if that's all you can afford, then so be it. That's all you can afford, right? You do a little bit here, you do a little bit there, you make it work. But if you can stretch your dollar and get a bigger mower that cuts a bigger path, I would highly recommend that. Another tool that I think everyone is aware of that, yeah, we need to get one of those is the string trimmer. A string trimmer is the one that lets you knock out that grass that grows along the bottom of the fence and along the bottom of the foundation of the house and along the flower bed edges and the tree edges and the cable boxes and the power boxes that the company set up in the front yard. But I'm going to say that it's also important to think about getting a stick edger. A stick edger is the one with the blade that runs vertical like this, and it lets you cut along the edge of the sidewalk and along the edge of the driveway. And to me, it's a really super important tool because it makes the lawn look really sharp when it has those super sharp laser straight lines along the sidewalk and the driveway. So I would consider a stick edger as well. When my trusty gas-powered string trimmer went out a couple of years ago, I just kind of peeked over into the battery-powered string trimmer and I saw that the Eagle brand offered different attachments. They have the string trimmer head, they have the edging head, they have the cultivator, they have an attachment that helps you trim your shrubs and bushes and that kind of thing. So I decided to give it a shot and I bought one and I really like it. It's nice to be able to just pop on the battery and go. Another must-have tool is a spreader or a sprayer. Previous 2 videos covered those extensively, so feel free to revisit those videos if you want more information on a granular spreader or a backpack sprayer. You don't need both of them. Certainly one will do just fine. Granular spreader, I think, is probably the most common one people will gravitate towards, but there are some advantages to having a sprayer as well. Again, just revisit those 2 pre-emergent videos that I did, and I think with that information, you'll be able to decide which one's for you. One very overlooked lawn tool is a leaf blower. I think when most of us think about cleaning our driveways and our sidewalks, we think of a broom, and that's fine. I used the push broom for many years until one time, I'm always out in the lawn. And a lot of my neighbors hire a landscape company to come out and take care of the lawns. Well, I've befriended some of those crews over the years. Being a fellow brown man, a fellow Hispanic, we get out there and we start talking shop and they're asking me stuff about the lawn. I'm asking them stuff about what they do. So I've become chummy with a few of them. Anyway, one time I was out there with my push broom and I was doing the sidewalk and one of those guys walked over to his truck and got his leaf blower and he brought it over to me and he handed it to me and he says, "Here, use this." And I'd used the leaf blower before, but It'd been years since I'd used one, and man, I was done with my sidewalk in my driveway like in seconds. So, needless to say, a few days later, I was at one of the big box stores and I bought one that was like $150 on sale. So just consider your needs, right? If you can afford a leaf blower, I think you'll find more uses for it than just clearing out your driveway and your sidewalk. For example, like in the fall when the elm starts to lose its leaves, I can come out here and just blow all the leaves off, right? I could come with my rotary mower and vacuum stuff up, but sometimes it's just easier to get the leaf blower and just blow stuff out of the lawn. And so if you can, consider a leaf blower. If not, a push broom will do just fine. Now, one of those things that I referenced earlier, about information that just kind of falls in between the cracks, is this next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the tools for the tools. And what I mean by that is this: lawnmower blades go dull, so you need to sharpen them. Most popular tool to sharpen your blades is an angle grinder, right? You take the blades off and give it a few passes with your angle grinder and it brings new life to your blades. They also sell those little stones that are on a drill bit, that you put at the end of a drill and you run that along the blades and it sharpens your blades that way, right? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Another tool for the tools is whenever you're going to fertilize, if you're using granular, well, you need something to weigh out the product, right? You need something that weighs out a few pounds. So I went out and bought a scale at Walmart for like $12, and it lets me weigh out how much fertilizer or herbicide or whatever I need to weigh. It lets me weigh it out so I can put it in my hopper and then spread it on my lawn. When I got into spraying, I ended up needing to buy another scale that does smaller measurements, like grams and 0.000 ounces, because a lot of those materials that you use in a sprayer, they're really low doses. So you could guess at how much product you're going to put in your spreader or in your sprayer, but why would you do that? For a few bucks, you can buy a scale that'll let you weigh out exactly how much product you need. But another tool you'll need, since we're talking about spraying stuff, is you'll need measuring cups. I have 4 or 5 different measuring cups, different sizes. One that does like half a gallon in ounces, and maybe a smaller cup that does like an ounce or 2, or syringes in my case, which you saw me use in the spray pre-emergent video. Now, something else that I want to touch on briefly here is you need to have a plan. There needs to be some forethought in place. You could sit here and watch YouTube videos all day and some guy telling you this is what you need to do and all that good stuff. But really, everybody's lawn is a little different, right? Even if you're in my part of Texas, your lawn is still going to be different. Maybe you have way more shade than I do. Maybe you don't have any shade at all. Maybe your builder used horrible soil and you've got to fix that before you do anything else. Maybe your house was built on an old cornfield where the soil is amazing. There's a lot of stuff you're not going to need to do that I need to do. So just have a plan that is based on your specific needs. For example, one thing you can have pre-planned and set in stone is your mow schedule. I've already made it clear that I think mowing is the single most important thing you can do for your lawn. Maybe have it set up where you mow twice a week, right? And again, if you're doing rotary, I would recommend twice a week. If you're going to reel mow, be prepared to mow every 2 or 3 days. That's just the way it is. Reel mowing is time consuming. But the majority of folks out there are using a rotary mower. I recommend twice a week. So let's just look at it this way. Let's say you mow on Monday, right? And then you mow again on Thursday afternoon or Friday morning so that your lawn looks really sharp over the weekend. Then you mow again on Monday to take off the little bit that grew over the weekend. Now you're set again until Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, whichever you can get to, so that your lawn looks good again over the weekend. And one other thing that I'll tell you about mowing is have your stuff set up in a way that it's easy for you to just get out there and start mowing. Where you just roll out of your garage or out of your shed or wherever it is you keep your equipment. You gas up and you start mowing. Have it set up so that it's not a hassle for you to get your mowing in. And know this, it doesn't need to be a full-blown project every time you get out on your lawn to mow it. I don't edge every time that I mow. Sometimes I don't even need to pull out my leaf blower because I didn't cut off enough grass. I just gave it a trim. So just know that sometimes you just have to mow it. Not every mow needs to be a time-consuming project. So have your stuff set up in a way that it's easier for you to just go, you know what, honey, I'm going to go outside and get a quick mow in. Done. And then the other thing you want to plan for is your watering schedule. Some of us have an in-ground irrigation system. Some of us are still using hoses with sprinklers on the end, right? I used both. I think in the shot, you can see the rain catcher that I installed. It's a 450-gallon rain catcher. Helps me save some money on my water bill, right? Anytime we get rain, it fills up and I use it to water my lawn. Rainwater is better than city water anyway. As far as my in-ground irrigation system, I don't have it on a set schedule. I water my lawn when I see that it needs water. But yeah, as far as manual watering, I have a little pump. Hook it up to the rain catcher, right? Hook up my garden hose, put a sprinkler on the end, and I set the sprinkler in different parts of my lawn. And I have it timed out now that I know how long it takes to empty that rain catcher. So I just divvy it up equally throughout different parts of my lawn so that every inch of grass on my lawn gets some of that really nice rainwater. And I'll leave you with this. Enjoy the process. When you become an adult and you buy a property and you have a lawn, you got to take care of it. And so you really have two choices. You can pay someone to do it. You can get out there and do it yourself. But let's be honest. You can't pay for an awesome lawn. We all know a bunch of people that pay someone to come and mow their lawn. Does it ever look amazing? No. It looks mowed, and that's it. It doesn't look great. So let's just be realistic. If you want a nice looking lawn, you're gonna have to do it yourself. You know, in the very first video that I uploaded to this channel, that was the video where I talked about hand pulling weeds. At the end of that video, I talked about how whenever I step out onto the lawn and I'm, pulling some weeds here and there, or I'm fixing the mulch or whatever it is I'm doing, I tend to consider that me time. I come out here with my earbuds, I put them in and listen to music or audio book or satellite radio or something. Sometimes I don't listen to anything. I just put them in just to kind of quiet things down, right? There's something therapeutic and calming about that. I don't know, maybe just being out here and getting the fresh air and the birds, or I don't know what it is about it, but it's not something that I get home and, man, I want to go out there and pull some weeds. I don't want to come out here and pull some weeds. When it's really hot outside, I'd rather be inside. But I know that sometimes just coming out here and taking care of some weeds, doing something to the lawn, 5, 10, 15 minutes, it just calms me down. I don't know why. I just know that it helps me a little bit. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about when I say enjoy the process. Find the joy in this lawn care hobby. Take some satisfaction in knowing that any little thing you do to your lawn on a weekly basis is improving it and it's making it nicer. And there's a pretty big sense of accomplishment that comes with that. Listen, we all have lives to live, right? We all have family responsibilities. We all have work responsibilities. But like you, I have a lawn and it needs to be mowed and it needs to be tended to. It might as well look nice. There's going to be days when it's 100 degrees out here. In my part of Texas, a long string of 100-degree days is normal. I'd rather be inside where it's air conditioned than out here. But I like driving down the street and approaching my property and seeing my lawn look sharp because it makes my house look nicer. I think it's definitely a worthwhile hobby to get into. And I think you find it worthwhile too. Or else you wouldn't be sitting through a lawn care video, right? So let's put on our big girl pants or big boy pants, whatever you wear, and get out there and whip our lawns into shape. If it's something I can do, I know it's something you can do too. So let's wrap this one up. The next video you're going to see from me is me doing my first fertilizer application to my lawn this season. And I'll get into application rates and which fertilizers I'm using and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys will join me for that one. Until then, be good to yourself, be good to the people around you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.